welcome back to the Get It podcast, where we get it every day. And today we are here with my lovely co-host. People, introduce yourself.
Hello, it's Ryan.
Chad Hankins.
And filling in for Selena today, we have a special guest co-host.
Hi everyone, my name is Bianca.
And Bianca, would you like to introduce yourself to the folks?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a third grade teacher. I teach in SAISD, born and raised on the south side of San Antonio, and I'm just really excited to be here.
You're from the south side?
I am from the south side. In
That's
fact,
good to know.
Roy and I went to school together.
Yes, we did. Now, you guys, can you tell people, just anybody who's tuning in for the first time, can you tell them a little bit more about yourselves as well?
I guess I'll start. Okay, so again, I'm Ryan. I just graduated from UTSA, so that's kind of my connection to San Antonio. I work in marketing, I work with nonprofits, and I actually just recently joined the Human Rights Campaign. So,
Nice. What are you doing with them?
So right now we're working on like LGBTQ rights, so that's kind of the main thing that I've been doing. But I'm gonna help with their gala and do some of their marketing for the Austin branch.
Oh my God, that sounds cool.
Nice. Well, I'm Chad Hankins. I am from the north side, as in Colorado, so very far north side. I am a writer for Citizen Roots Press, and I just sort of write about politics, rant endlessly, and that's pretty much sums it up.
And my name's Roy. I'm the host of a show called The Carpenter's Apprentice, and of course glad to be here as one of your co-hosts. But speaking of ranting endlessly, I wanted to talk a little bit more about something that we did. It was a brainchild of you, I think. Deep Dive Bar. Can you tell people a little bit more about that segment?
Oh, yeah, no, that was great. That sounds like something I'd come up with. No, so what we were doing, Roy and I went down to a bar, and we just kind of interviewed people on the spot. They were drinking. We were, of course, not, because we would never do that. We're professionals. But we were just kind of interviewing them about voting myths, why they vote, why they don't vote, what they think they're voting for, difficulties getting to the polls. I mean, things came up that I would have never even thought of with some of the reasons that people don't vote. And we got a lot of honesty out of them because I think we bought a couple rounds. Got a lot of truth.
That's all it takes. That's all it takes.
That's absolutely true, and we want to say thank you to Jugsters22 for letting us record there. That was a lot of fun. I want to make sure that the people at home get to hear what we heard and some of the surprising things that we heard. We asked a lot of different kinds of questions, and we got a lot of different kinds of answers. So first things first, our co-host, of course, Ryan, picked out a clip, and we're going to go ahead and cut to that.
It's hard to believe that my one little vote's going to actually make a difference or actually be taken seriously or do anything. Yeah. Like, I could sit here and pick this, and that, and see nothing actually happen in my favor, and then that leaves you with that feeling like, what's the point? You know what I mean?
Oh, shit, that's heartbreaking. Mm-hmm. Ryan, why'd that connect with you so much?
Just because I believe when your vote really doesn't matter is when you don't cast it. So that's first and foremost. Mm-hmm. So if you think about it, right, in the grand scheme of things, your one singular vote, of course, is not going to decide the 2020 election, right? However, there's one person thinking that, right? Multiply that by 1,000. Now multiply that by 50,000. That's 50,000 people that are thinking that their one vote doesn't matter. The power is all in the numbers, and that's what democracy is about in general. So the biggest thing is what you have to do is cast your vote. And sometimes it's not always that your vote decided in your favor, but what you're doing is you're letting politicians, you're letting whoever it is know how you feel about something and, you know, the way that things are going.
Yeah, so it really breaks my heart, and I think, like, the thing that I think about is that our politicians and people, our elected officials, are banking on people saying, my vote doesn't matter.
Oh,
they want that.
You're
like,
right.
Of course,
Right.
if you're going to think that, and your family and your friends, you're telling them your vote doesn't matter, and then, you know, you're all thinking that, which, by the way, I want to say, I don't necessarily blame them for feeling that way. I think there's a lot of reasons they feel that way, which we can touch on a little later. But our elected officials, they want you to feel that way, right? Because they know who votes, and the people who are voting is who elected them in the first place.
Exactly.
And if no one else is voting, then they're going to continue to get elected, right? And so that's, like, first and foremost for me. It's like, if you continue this mindset, absolutely,
Your vote will not count.
Your vote's not going to count, and absolutely those people that you're tired of already and that you feel like ignore you all the time, they're going to continue. To make decisions that are impacting your life every single day.
Man, as soon as you started saying like that, those fighting words, that's what they don't want you to do, I was like, yeah, you're right, fuck them, you know?
Well, if you think about it, I mean, they're supposed to answer to the voters, right? That's the idea of a civil servant. But if the crowd is silent, then who are they answering to? They get to run around bossless, doing whatever they want, and it's this kind of self-gratifying, self-enriching. We've seen this cash grab 1,000 times, and it happens because there's no accountability.
Exactly.
If the people you're supposed to answer to are sitting there saying, well, it doesn't matter if I say anything.
They don't care anyways, right? That's what the politicians think. They don't care anyways. So who am I going to pay attention to? I'm going to pay attention to the people who are voting. Right. And it shouldn't be like that, right? Because they're there. They should be held accountable regardless if people are voting or not to their entire constituents, right? Their community. However, the reality is our politicians they're going and making decisions based on what the people who vote for them want.
Right. Which is such a small percentage.
And actually,
small percentage.
To hit on that point exactly, Chad picked an excellent clip. If we can run to clip 2.
And why do you think your vote doesn't matter? It's corrupted, I guess. I mean, you know. So when you look at Washington, you see a corrupt organization that you have no part in? I know. Wow.
God damn. And that's almost exactly what you were just saying.
Right.
How did you know that that's how people felt?
Because I've felt that way before, right? And like the people that I went to school with, we're from the South Side, right?
Yes.
I can't tell you how many people like really proud of being from the South Side, and but I can't tell you how many people that I love and care about have expressed that sentiment toward me. That it's corrupt. I have no impact on the government. What I do, doesn't impact them, and it breaks my heart. It's how our communities feel, but we have to ask ourselves, why do they feel that way? Right?
Yeah.
Like we got to get to that root cause. But I'm saying elected officials, they don't care why people feel that way.
Yeah.
It's working for them right now.
Now, Chad, why do you keep going out? Yeah, I'm sure you felt that too, because everybody does. So why do you keep going?
Well, because I think I've sussed out the root over time here. And what you find with corruption is that you can kind of follow it back to where the donors are. Because there's a voting class and there's a donor class.
Right.
And we've got this thing in this country called Citizens United, which is the biggest affront to democracy that I've ever seen. It's basically turned our elections into auctions. That's all they are now. So we were discussing earlier before the mics were on, we were talking about Cory Booker. And one of the things with Cory Booker is everybody was surprised that he voted against us negotiating drug prices with Canada until they found out that he got over $400,000 from the pharmaceutical industry for his campaign. Right. So the way that you kind of get around that is you look at who's donating to these people. Is it independent donors? That's why in 2016 it was such a big deal. And I know we're not supposed to advocate anyone, so I'll just say a fact here. The average donation for the Sanders campaign was $27, and those are small dollar donations. And you've got all these people kind of swearing off PAC money. Now, I know it's a little bit different in the local elections, but you can look at, okay, is Chevron trying to get this guy on the city council? Because then you might want to be a little bit weary of what the motivation is going to be. Are they going to answer to the people who voted for them, or are they going to answer to the company that gave them tens of thousands of dollars to get a city council seat?
Right.
And we've seen it time and time again. I mean, it's a proven metric. So to me, the idea of the corruption and the reason it's important to vote is that you find those uncorrupted people and you shout to the rooftop for them.
Right.
And you find out who is going to represent us, who is going to actually fulfill that civil servant role, and you tell everybody 1,000 times until they listen and go, okay, God, I'll go to the polls if it shuts you up.
Hey, you almost sold me on that argument alone.
I'll badger my family endlessly about this stuff.
Ryan, anything you want to add to that?
I kind of agree with you. We should get to the root of how to empower them. Because, I mean, one of the biggest examples, you can look at the 2008 election in which Obama won an entire election over empowering people that thought that their vote didn't matter. Right. So the biggest thing is now figuring out how to empower those people. Because the number of people that don't vote is larger than those who do. Right. So those are the people that we need to be trying to hit at, essentially.
Talking about those people in particular, Bianca, you picked a fantastic clip and something that I think we really want to hear about. Can we go to clip 8?
Have you ever heard a candidate on TV or in the newspaper or on the radio and you said, damn, I kind of wish I could vote for them?
I don't honestly, man, I don't remember.
Really?
Yeah.
And I think, the further end of that, when we were doing the interview, he says he doesn't even think about it. Like, that's not even something that crosses his mind. So when you're talking about shouting from the rooftops and whatnot, what is it that we should be shouting about to get people to even give a fuck?
Well, I don't know. So in my opinion, that clip, the reason I chose that one that really hit home for me is because people have this idea that, politics is this like bad thing, right? And so they're like, oh, I don't do politics. That's not my thing. And you know what? I don't even really blame them, right? Like, people have jobs, they have things that they need to worry about, but what they're not realizing is their everyday stresses, them living their life every single day is politics, right? Their child getting sick, wanting to go to the doctor but cannot afford to because they don't have insurance or insurance that is like a decent deductible, right? That's politics, right? Exactly. Them worried about whether or not their student is going to get identified for SPED in time, right? Not when it's too late and their child goes their whole life thinking that they're dumb when the reality is they weren't getting the proper resources to be educated. That's politics, right? The amount of money, like I said, I'm a third grade teacher. I teach in a Title I school. This past year, our budget was cut by like millions of dollars, right? And as a result, we didn't have enough paper. So one of the things that we had to go and buy our own paper, of course, which is, to be honest, a reality for many, many teachers, right? But it hit us so hard that like it wasn't like, oh, a couple reams of paper. We were going and buying a ton of school supplies because we just didn't have it, and that's the reality. But caring about those things, whether your kids have resources at school, that's politics, right? Exactly. Like thinking about, I mean, every little aspect of our life that many of our community, and to be honest, myself as well, for a long time, wasn't realizing that all of these things that impact my life every day that are important to me, it is politics, right? And if we continue to we're thinking, I'm going to focus on like the problems that I'm facing, it's like, you're right, but how are you going to focus on it, right? What's going to actually help you change that problem in your life? And that's like, it starts with voting, right? Well,
for me, I think we can't start at the jump off point being the voting, because when you're talking about somebody who doesn't vote at all, we have to first get the message to them. So what is the medium and what is the message? And for me, it's like how should politicians be communicated? Because I think part of this, if anybody's listening to it and they are a politician, we want to tell them how to reach young people and how to reach people who aren't listening. So what are some of the ways that you think politicians just aren't talking to folks that they could be doing better? Chad?
Well, first of all, they need to get to the fucking point sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's where you kind of start to lose people's. You nailed it on the head, Bianca. Like, people don't have a lot of time.
Right.
Like, I'm a political junkie. I've obsessed about politics since I figured out it was a thing. I don't have enough time to keep up with the never-ending cyclical shit show. Right. Am I allowed to say shit show?
I mean, you said it.
That's right. I did already say it. That's a good point. and I figure if I'm having trouble paying attention, so are other people. So you've got to keep it concise, but also keep it relatable.
Right.
Like, what the hell? It's got to be something that actually matters to people. And a lot of people have kids. I didn't know that there were millions in budget cuts. Right. I live in this city. I mean, I don't have kids, to my knowledge. But I live here, and as far as I know, I didn't know anything about it.
Right.
So it's something about getting that information out, making it palatable, and also making it connect to the person in their own lives. Yeah. Because to be honest, as myopic and terrible as it sounds, we really have time to focus on very little, and the chief thing that we all kind of try to focus on is our own lives. Right. And of course, our family, friends, and their health and everything, but it's all got to connect to us in some way. So you've got to connect that.
I agree.
Hey, Chad, when we were at that bar, you actually talked to somebody who talked about not wanting to take out time from work to vote for somebody they don't give a damn about. Can we go to clip 9?
I can definitely see the frustration when, if none of the candidates appeal to you, and we also live in a country where you vote on a weekday, where there are a lot of people that can't take time off. I mean, do you want to lose some pay, go to an election booth to vote for candidates that you don't like?
That's a great point, isn't it?
It's very strategic. It's very strategic. If you think about the people that are able to get to the polls in the middle of the day, right, that can take that time off of work, the process that you have to go through to vote, it's strategic. But don't let that hold you down. That's what I think.
Talking about voting for people you don't want to vote for, in one of these last elections, I won't specify which one, but there was 2 candidates only, and you had to choose from one of them. And I felt like shit picking from one of them because they both sucked. And so then I just kind of, I didn't even want to go. I almost didn't vote for that round of elections. So if you don't agree with either of the candidates, what do you think you should do?
You pick the better of 2 evils.
Oh.
Well, here's the thing.
You do. I mean, that's like...
So here's what I do. I look at it from a spiderweb point of view. Because it's not, we don't live in any kind of a dictatorship where that one person who gets elected to that key office is making all the shots, or at least we didn't used to.
Right.
Now, what you want to look at is, okay, like this person sucks and this person sucks. But the people who are going to be able to move this person in one direction or the other, you know, is this person going to be able to move in the direction I want them to with sufficient pressure from the people working around them? Mm-hmm. And that's not to say the people they pick, that's not to say their cabinet. But once you start sort of going up the rungs, it's just like, you know, the mayor doesn't make all the decisions, city council's involved.
Yeah.
You know, and so you think, okay, well, if you've got this real staunch, like, I will never move my opinions in any way, mayor, city council's they're gonna stonewall each other left and right. Now you get somebody who can be moved somewhat in that direction, whichever direction it is that you want, then you kind of get those complementary entities in there, if that makes sense.
Right.
So you look at, like, yeah, they both suck, but this person can be moved in the direction I want with sufficient pressure from these people.
It's funny you bring that up, because I actually was having a conversation about this not a couple of days ago. So I didn't mention this earlier, but I'm a community organizer. And one of the things that, like, the basis of community organizing is that organized money is always going to beat disorganized people, but organized people can beat organized money, right? And one of the things that we also talked about was that our politicians, like, here's the thing, we put so much, like, hope and everything into one person, but we forget that they're human, right? And they're gonna be swayed, right? They're human, and so, but like you mentioned, and I think you made a really good point, is that the people that we want to vote for, they may not be perfect, right? They're not gonna. People have all these different views, and so not one person is going to be able to be perfect for everybody, right? It's just impossible. However, if there are enough people, if you organize people enough, right, and what politician is going to listen and which one, it doesn't matter because they're being paid, right? So I guess, like, those are things that you have to think about. But definitely, I feel like when it comes to that, you just have to choose. You hit it right on the head. You have to choose the person that, with enough pressure, with enough organized people, are going to make the right decision. Because we can't rely on them making the right decision just because they're good people.
Right.
That's just not going to happen. Yeah.
And then also there's early voting. I just talked to somebody, and I went to go early vote with a friend of mine, and he said he wasn't registered, and he said, "What is early voting?" I was like, "What?" And I didn't know how to explain it, but then it made me realize, like, oh, there's a very baseline barrier to this. People don't even know that early voting's a thing.
Yep.
You mentioned about how in this country, voting is on a Tuesday. It is Texas law to get paid leave for 2 hours so that you can go out and vote. So that is your right, and you will get paid. So exercise that right. If you're unable to go to vote early, then you have that right to get paid on election day, and it's Texas law. And a lot of people probably don't know this. I didn't know this for a long time, and we have a lot of pressure from our jobs, but almost every state prohibits employees from disciplining or firing an employee who takes time off work to vote. Woo. So they cannot do that, right? It is against the law for them to fire you, to discipline you, because you're trying to exercise your right to vote.
Hey, and also don't forget Uber, Lyft, Via, all those places, they offer free rides on election day, so take advantage of all of that. You have an opportunity.
Right.
I know on UTSA, too, they bus you to and
from. Oh, they do? This is our right. People fought for this, and so just so that we're clear, like, it does make it very inconvenient, and for their reasons that they don't want people to go out to vote, they're not going to tell people that it's their right and that they have their jobs have to let them, but they do have to let them.
And also, look, if you hate your job and you work for a corporation, fucking wait till election day, get your 2 hours, let them pay you, and then go out there. Like, come on, that's free fucking money.
Yeah. Well, the other thing about early voting is that not only I need 2 hours off.
I'm getting more than 2 hours.
Yeah, right?
You see the lines on voting day? Like, I get that's a lot. But
yeah, true.
Please.
But on early voting, like, it took me like 5 minutes, which, I mean, it's very easy. But the other thing is you can go to any polling location in early voting that you can't do on election day. On election day, you have to go where your polling location is based on where you live. But on early voting...
And that's a headache. Save yourself the trouble. Go to early vote. But even if you vote on... I guess I'm not supposed to discourage everybody. So on election day, it's super easy also. But fuck, early voting...
Okay, Roy, you're fired.
I was like, hey, we're done with that.
Can we get a new...
Time to move on, baby. All right, well, then let's move on. Chad, when's the last time you went to go vote, and where'd you have to go?
Whenever this last election was, I guess it was about a month ago, pre-runoff. I'm actually super lucky because there's an elementary school near my house where we go to vote, and I have this really bittersweet connection with that place because on the one hand, there's never a line, and I love that I can just go in, vote, get out, and head to work. On the other hand, it kills me that there's no one there to vote.
All right, so real quick, we're going to go ahead and go to our audience, our lovely, lovely audience. Does anybody out there have a question? Just raise your hand and we'll get a mic to you. And what is your name, miss?
My name is Kiara.
Okay, and what is your question for the panel?
What do y'all feel would be the most effective way to get people informed? I feel a lot of people don't have the confidence to vote. So we're missing information.
Oh, very good question. All right, very good question. Good question. All right, panelists, so who wants to take that one up first?
Ooh, I'll start because I have an idea I've been working on. I'm thinking if we make a drinking game using political information, get it to really stick. You know, it's like when you're in college and you get real drunk while you study, and then you pass the test, but you don't necessarily remember everything. Something kind of along those lines.
I don't remember doing
that. Was that just me?
I've seen some of the I know earlier we were talking about one politician that's really like a superstar within their party who's been using social media to really connect with people in a good way. Hey, you know, we're not supporting or not supporting. We're just talking about how they communicate. So AOC, the way she uses the internet and the way she uses social media is really kind of new. What do you think is the most captivating thing about AOC's social media use?
I mean, she brings you into, like, her world. Like, not like any other politician has before, to be honest. Like, I remember I follow her on Instagram, and she's constantly posting on stories. And she was, like, posting their, like, you know, the training that they get pre-going into office. And to me, I was, like, mind-blown. Because I'm like, oh, my gosh, I didn't know that they did this. But it's pretty freaking cool that they do. Because, like, you know, I don't know, it just brings this more human aspect to her job and like to what she's doing for us, and like it brings us to her level in a way that like I feel like other politicians have failed to do so, and it makes people feel like, hey, this is cool, you know, and it makes you feel like what she's doing matters, and that what I'm doing matters. I don't know. I mean, she's just been incredibly awesome.
Chad, what do you think is going to be the secret?
I think that AOC is nailing it as far as social outreach and using social media in a lot of ways. One of the things that when we were talking earlier, I remember watching this video, and I think she's putting together like a stool or a bookshelf from IKEA, and she's just like looking at her computer and just just answering people's questions. They're just live streaming to her, and it was the most approachable thing I've ever seen in my life. This woman is on every channel, and there she is just making a damn stool for her new DC apartment and answering people's questions. And her hair's all messed up because she's been shopping all day, and she's building furniture. And I think that connecting with people in that way, not only like is it something that's kind of a breath of fresh air, but I don't know why everybody in politics isn't doing that.
Right.
Hey, well, the most successful case on the other side of the aisle, on the Republican side, would be the President of the United States. And he's used Twitter to, even if we're just talking about straight up communication, that man knows how to communicate with folks, because the people that he's talking to, they stick with him like you wouldn't believe, and what he's distributing is all that they're listening to. So I wonder if social media is going to be the key to all of this shit going forward, if that's how they're all going to have to try to conquer it.
I say yes and no, because so a lot of people bash getting your news from social media, but I think it's perfectly fine, for one, because
it's successful.
Yeah, it's successful. Not only that, Twitter has kind of noted in the sense of you're getting actual hard facts. So what it's doing is it's like congregating all of these news stories together. So whenever you see it on social media, it's not just some random stuff, right? So don't listen to maybe the random stuff that you hear from your friends or that they post about, but if you see a news story that gives you a little bit of a bite as to what's happening, what this issue is, read it, maybe go to that page. You know what I mean? But if they're meeting us halfway, then why is that a bad thing? We're on social media. They met us where we are.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think
that's a great point. Yeah.
You have to be careful with that at the same time, because I think like many people, like we lack in media literacy. Like media literacy is so incredibly important. I mean, that's why, you know, I hate to use this term, but fake news, like that's a reality, not the way that it's been used in my opinion, but it is, as far as like you go on like social media, and if you just believing every little thing that you see, like you're gonna get misinformation, right? But I feel like it's up to like our education system. It's up to our kids are in school, and what are they learning about that's actually relevant to their life? They should be learning about things like media literacy, right? How to identify a true source from like something that's just fake, that's not giving you facts. I get a lot of my information from social media too, right? Like that's how I get it the quickest, to be honest.
Exactly.
Like I can go on, like I have all the New York Times apps, like CNN, like I get all of my information from there. But like if I'm social media and like one of my friends posts something and I see, I'm like, oh, like that quick, right? And then I'm like, okay. Then I go down a rabbit hole of like all the other things that I start learning from this one article. But the reality is, how many people are on social media, right? Like we should take advantage of that, but
and
we
be
have to be
cognizant
careful.
of your sources too. Like the certain websites, you can't believe them, but like CNN or those big websites that are we won't get into that. I just named
like
a
legitimate source.
That thing about not trusting CNN or MSNBCs, these guys have lied to us, and they've lied to us like in a habitual fashion.
Well,
so
and
these
that's
new guys
for
are
a
not
different
bad.
reason, which we can get into in another
Well,
episode.
that goes back to funding and finance.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say.
The same kind of people who benefit from massive tax cuts are the same people who own five people who own every major network.
And it's all about
that's
drama.
an open secret. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
You know,
it's all about drama.
I'm being told it's 6.
I mean, and so I feel like social media, yes, but I also feel like it should be on the shoulders of our elected officials to put in money into making sure that they're informing their community. Of course, they're not going to do that, right? Or we haven't, like some will, right? But there hasn't been very many that has. But it should be up to them to like, it's going to cost money. Like if it's not social media, it's going to cost money to get that information out. And that should be a priority.
And social media is the cheapest and easiest way to do it.
Oh, for
the
sure.
biggest thing is you have to keep up with the times. You cannot say, hey, we're moving to this tech digital age, but hey, I still want you to go to this website
Read
for the
my
news.
newsletter.
I mean,
Exactly.
But
This is how we want the information.
But here's the thing. Then you think about like recently at my school, and sorry, I keep bringing back my school, right? I'm a teacher, like that's my life, right? But at my school, we switched over to online registration, which don't get me wrong, like we're at that day and age where like, okay, we got to get with the program, right? But there's so many of my families that don't have a computer at home, that do not have like high-tech phones, smartphones that they can use to just get online and like learn about all these things. Like that is the reality for a large population in our country and beyond, right? And so I think that those things need to be considered also.
Definitely.
And so it can't just be fully social media. That's the only way we approach, right? Because then it's like, who are we trying to approach?
I think that's called the digital divide, I believe.
Right, the digital divide. So I think it's 100%, especially with millennials, and we know millennials aren't coming out to vote enough, right? So yes, but also making sure that like our families that can't afford to have this like technology at their like fingertips, that they're also getting the information that they need, because they deserve it just as much as anybody else.
I think politics is already elitist, and that kind of moves it more towards that. But in the same, I believe, you need both. Because if they're already there, this is the way to reach millennials. Why not? You know what I mean? Why not?
Sure.
If you're not doing social media, you're behind. Like that's.
Well, and as far as smartphones and everything go, I mean, we're getting to a point where those inform every bit of your life, to where it's like my staff at the restaurant, they have to have the app to get their schedule.
Exactly.
So it's like it's not really optional if they want to know when they want to work, because that's just the way that everything's going. And to sit here and and of course media literacy is absolutely important. I got special training in that because my grandma was a crazy person in the 90s. So I remember as a little kid, I was like, Mom, I don't think they're giving half their money from Target to the Church of Satan. And then look into that. Things like that,
Get up on that.
Okay, don't forget, look up get_Texas on Instagram or Get Texas on Facebook. You can also check us out. We have a website, gettexasvoting.org. And you guys can check us out on there. You're going to really like it. It's a very cool thing. For you folks at home, we want to say thank you so much for listening to us here on the Get It podcast. We get it every day, and we hope you get it too. We'll see you next time.